Welcome to your Best Kept Business Secret podcast with me, your host, Mark Ford, business coach, author and editor of Your Best Kept Business Secret magazine, dedicated to small businesses to get to the advice, hints, tips and strategies that nobody wants to tell you. And welcome to this marathon fest of podcasts, filming live from my office and studio here in the UK. From this episode, we are doing 30 podcasts in 30 days. Why, I hear you cry? Well, the last 9 weeks have been real fun, haven't they? Your business, like many others, has been shut down or put into an induced business coma because of the global situation, and now is the time that Mother Nature is allowing us to resuscitate those businesses and come back to life. The only problem is that, well, things have changed. Things are evolving, and they will continue to evolve over the coming weeks and months. The biggest problem is that the world has changed in the last 9 weeks, and it's now a different world that you bring that business back to life in. Over the coming 30 episodes, we are going to bring you a different topic for every single episode. We're going to include special guests who want to discuss the things that you need to keep in mind as we all go forward in this post-pandemic world where things look similar, well, but they are anything but similar. So, in today's show, I'm going to run you through some of the important lessons that we can learn, or at least be prepared for, by watching those countries that have already been there and done that, as they're ahead of us and have come out of the business lockdown. Hashtag better together. So, let's go. As lockdown comes to end here in the Europe and the US and other parts of Europe, the owners and executives of millions of small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs if you want to call them that, face the daunting task of reopening. Of course, they are not the first to navigate the recovery. For example, China flattened its curve in February, if you believe what you read, and many of the country's SMEs were reopening as early as March, with very, very little government support. So if anything, perhaps we should appreciate what we were given, or maybe even learn a lesson from that. Right there, actually, that's something for a different episode. So I kind of thought it would prove really wise and interesting for those running small businesses and about to rejoin the economy to consider the experience of China and learn from those who've already begun the struggle to survive in their highly competitive markets that they are currently in. Now, markets may differ, but the basic needs of small business owners are universal. Most have small teams, occupy market niches, or run on thinner margins and have less bargaining power with suppliers and customers than some of their larger competitors, so to speak. The small size is a big asset in the current environment. Most can move nimbly and adapt rapidly. Now, at first glance, China presents a hopeful picture. COVID-19 cases are largely under control, helped by a mandatory track and trace system. Chinese industry rebounded in April. Optimism among the Chinese consumers about recovery is twice as high as their counterparts in the US and Western Europe, and business confidence, which remains down in the US, has bounced back in China from a ridiculous low in February. But small businesses in China are still hurting, providing a cautionary tale for business owners absolutely everywhere. So for those that think that business will go back to normal, seriously, you need to have a frickin' word with yourself. So, let's talk turkey, unless you're a vegan or something, which means it will be an aubergine or something. And let's talk about the lessons that we need to pay attention to, first off, as we come out of lockdown. Now, number one, you need to be ready to make more cuts perhaps than you expect. Now, consumer optimism in China has not brought spending back to pre-pandemic levels. Most company revenues were down somewhere between 40 to 70% in the first quarter, and many Chinese small businesses just downsized. The service sector had previously been devastated, which of course it will be, and it's going to be a massive problem here in the UK as we've developed into that service-based country. People in China aren't going out in droves to eat, to travel or for entertainment. Retail and gyms are slowly reopening, but with strict rules. Corporate travel and events are on hold. Large-scale gatherings look to be over for the long haul. Companies serving corporate clients are also feeling the hit. Some reported no sales in February, although they saw a very slow recovery in March when some of the lockdowns ended. But others have gone under, and many more are delaying the larger projects. They are in a kind of quandary of, shall we continue paying full salaries to employees or cut wages temporarily, lay off or even dismiss staff? They, like us, are not sure when the pandemic will be over, and we don't know its long-term impact. So the action you should take is take a realistic look at your sector's prospects and prepare the worst case scenario, and then some. Small businesses in China have had to tighten their belts more than probably they anticipated. So if you haven't done it yet, now is the time. But make sure that that belt tightening does not affect your service offering to your clients. Number 2, identify pockets of opportunity. In China, most business owners remind themselves that in the word for crisis, it includes within it the characters signifying danger and opportunity. Growth online, already potent in China, has taken off dramatically. Many small business owners have begun generating business using live online broadcasts. So if you've been relying on offline marketing to attract customers, well, you're going to have to get with the program and build a mix of online and offline marketing strategies. And I mean an actual strategy as opposed to posting stuff and see what crap sticks on the wall. Now, some of the businesses that I've worked with over the last 9 weeks have embraced short-form videos, live streaming and branded content to increase their offline sales to now online sales, which has increased their business during the pandemic, with 2 businesses doubling their business from pre-pandemic levels. But the opportunities are not solely online. With summer approaching, consumers may shift their holiday budgets to home or some self-improvement. Big businesses are preparing for the fact that teleworking and less face-to-face contact with clients may be here for the long term. And many trainers have shifted their offerings to meet an increased demand in resilience coaching and stress management. But if you're going to do it with some integrity. Offering coaching worth £35,000 online makes you look like a freaking tool. Always remember, you are a problem solver. Solve customers' online problems as well as you did offline. Even in sectors experiencing deep downturns, some customers are rethinking their business. Remember, change won't happen overnight, especially right now, but there are many indications of how much health and safety concerns are entering investment decisions. So remember, small businesses are nimble, so play to that strength. Pivot the business online, partner more deeply with clients to discover unmet needs or move into emerging niches and markets. 3, manage only what's critical. Since reopening after the lockdown, some businesses have extended their payment terms. Some have moved it to 150 days from 90 days or 60 days. But managing the cash strain puts businesses in a more delicate position. Other companies will be less fortunate. Many businesses lack solid funding or credit channels, causing working capital challenges left, right and centre. Now, many experts that I've spoken to have said the measures that the government have put in place have actually just kicked the can down the road until later in the year. And it's not just here that this is a problem. See, more than half of the Chinese SMEs cannot ride their cash for more than 3 months, according to research that's been led by Peking University. Indeed, in the first quarter, close to 500,000 Chinese small businesses shut their doors for good. So with that in mind, you need to look at your finances forensically. The Chinese government gave companies a 2-month holiday on their payroll deductions and encouraged landlords to delay any kind of rental collection. But you see, these measures have merely delayed the hit, as many small businesses now have 3 months of payments due in May. Otherwise, the government has done relatively little in their stimulus. They reduced the VAT rate for small-scale taxpayers, including cutting broadband costs and providing medical insurance subsidies. So For those that have moaned, bitched, whined and complained about what has or hasn't been available, just go and think on that. It's not the government's fault. It is a global situation. And if you've got no money or are willing to do the things that you need to do to fight your way out of this, well, there's only one person to have a word with. It's also an ideal time to review your supply chain. Some businesses will remain closed for a myriad of reasons, which could be delaying all your orders. Businesses in China moved swiftly to purchase the essential components from suppliers that they'd qualified but had never actually done business with. Having a mix of suppliers was crucial to continuing the business and the backup of a smaller supplier. And they are small businesses themselves, but it actually proved to be agile and easy. The feeling is that the crisis brings out problems that many companies already had pre-pandemic. So if you have a healthy operation, sound cash flow, good relations with employees and a healthy internal control, well my friend, you are in a much better position to remain viable. So find out what government support might help you, but focus on the fundamentals. Review your cash position, supply chain, areas of your business that were weak links in the very good times. Number 4, navigate a safe return to work for your employees. Now, unlike large corporations, most small business owners and employees wear many different hats. So if one person goes down, his or her absence dramatically affects the business operation. Despite an end to lockdowns in February and March, most Chinese small businesses experienced an additional 2-week delay for employees to return. That's because much of China's workforce were actually migrant workers who were on annual leave during the Chinese New Year, and thus many were required to take a 2-week quarantine before returning to the factory or the office. Now, a similar delay may be less likely in Western countries which have more relaxed guidelines and enforcement. And here in the UK, we do have a problem with schools and childcare as we record this. But the question then becomes how to ensure employees who return feel safe. Now, the more I read, the more I listen, there is a fear of returning to work, and it's real. Many have put strict measures in place to create a safe workplace and have communicated it early to staff. Most employees have valued transparency and honesty from the top. It seems employers that have good relationships with employees are going to do better, and they're going to see more loyalty, shared sacrifice and an increase in productivity. In contrast to widely varying rules in the US and many parts of Europe, China has laid down strict guidelines for the use of masks, social distancing and a mobile quick response health code system. But few business owners in China love the rules, but it has given them a certain peace of mind that many Western SMEs won't enjoy. The system makes them surrender some of their privacy, but it's working. Since it's been in place post-lockdown, the chance of infection is reducing exponentially, and that gives a certain relief as a colleague, business owner and a member of society. With the systems in place, things will normalise more quickly, so business owners can focus on the business and, well, stop trying to be a bloody doctor. So, particularly in the absence of any clear government guidelines, small business owners should develop strong policies of their own in order to assure your workers' safety. Doing so will manage morale, productivity, and most importantly, the health and safety of your workers. So in hindsight, closing down was the easy part. Reopening will prove more difficult for small businesses here in the UK. Companies that reopen without a clear plan or open in areas where case counts are still rising will face an even more uncertain future. Western governments took relatively little action after warnings from Asia at the start of the outbreak. In these exceptional times, studying the path of small businesses in China may not only keep us in UK business owners out of bankruptcy, but even lead to a competitive advantage. Will they or you heed the warnings this time? And you see, that's it for this episode of the podcast. We are doing these not as a massive information dump, but tackling different aspects of small business every single day to help you get back to work and back to the business that your hard work truly deserves. We'll be around tomorrow and we'll be talking about how small business mindset has got to change with Olympic mindset coach, author and businesswoman Carrie Hearsey. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Leave any comments that you've got below in the boxes, offering some support to your fellow small businesses. Now, I've been Mark Ford, the original Best Kept Business Secret, and I will see you guys on the other side.